And welcome to ToryTalks. This is week 1 of the NFL season. I'm pretty excited about what's about to happen. I'm playing as the Colts, and we're playing the Oakland Raiders in week 1. This is the 2013 schedule. Let's skip that. Today I want to talk about cryptozoology. If you're not familiar with what that term means, basically cryptozoology is the study of animals that we don't know if they exist. Like, we haven't been able to ascertain whether or not they're real. So if you think about Bigfoot or Sasquatch or Yeti or whatever you want to call him, the Loch Ness monster, dragons, unicorns, those sorts of things, those are all under the fall under the heading of cryptozoology. And I'm not an expert in cryptozoology. I mean, to be honest, I don't know anything about it, but I think it's a really fascinating topic. And recently, within the last couple of days, apparently some really high, diehard Loch Ness monster enthusiasts think that they have found proof of the Loch Ness monster on Google Maps. They went and they zoomed in and they found this image that kind of looks like what dinosaur enthusiasts will recognize as some sort of plesiosaur. Plesiosaur kind of looks like a brontosaurus with fins instead of legs, or brachiosaurus. I don't remember which one's the fake one. They're like the same creature, and they give it. Anyway, they think that the Loch Ness monster exists because they've used Google Earth, and I think it's really fascinating to think about the way that Google Earth has affected so many different things. And one of them is cryptozoology. Here I have images of the entire planet, and I'm just going to look around, and I just found the Loch Ness monster. This is something that's been, this has been a legend for years and years and years. And then all of a sudden, some guy just decided that, hey, I'm going to use this incredible technology and discover the Loch Ness monster. There are lots of claims about it, and it may or may not be true. And to be honest, I don't know if I believe in the Loch Ness monster. I don't disbelieve in it. I don't think it's that insane of a proposition that there would be a prehistoric creature in a lake that's never been seen by a human. But the idea that we're sort of fascinated by this. We're fascinated by things that we're not sure that they exist, and they're sort of new and exciting. The idea of Bigfoot, I can't tell you, when I was growing up, how many documentaries I saw that were about Bigfoot or the Yeti or Sasquatch or whatever you want to call it. And it was exciting. There was something really special about an animal that was kind of more than an animal, and also the story of it was more than just, here's a creature and we domesticated it. Some people gave up a touchdown. Some people are really interested in animals, and they go into veterinary medicine, or they become marine biologists, or they do all these really exciting things. And some people take those energies and that fascination with creation and that fascination with animals, and they apply it to it's almost like the science fiction of veterinary medicine. Right? Here's this creature. I'm going to study it. I'm going to spend my whole life studying this thing that I'm not even sure exists. And that just blows my mind. And I think it's really cool that there are... Darius Hayward-Bay is a monster. I think it's really cool that there are people that do that. And I know that Sasquatch enthusiasts and people who hunt for the Loch Ness monster and who hunt for dragons or unicorns or whatever, they're sort of lampooned, and I don't know that that's fair. I mean, sure, there's not... It's hard to go as long in human history as we have and not have definitive evidence of a creature in the way that we have definitive evidence of something more rare, or something not quite as rare, but also rare compared to, your average house cat. The first thing that comes to mind is the ivory-billed woodpecker, which is sometimes called the Lord God bird, or the the "Oh my God" bird, because it said yes. It was believed to be extinct, and it was such a beautiful bird, and it was so rare to see that it said that when you see the ivory-billed woodpecker, you say, "Oh my Lord, oh my God!" It's almost sort of a holy moment, and that's why it's called the Lord God bird. Sufjan Stevens wrote a song called "Lord God Bird" about the ivory-billed woodpecker. And if you think about it, that's almost a sort of cryptozoology that kind of advanced into, it sort of advanced into real zoology, to real, ornithology. There we go. That's the study of birds. And that's really fascinating. So what happens if someone finds proof of Sasquatch, or if they capture the Sasquatch? And to be honest, I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think if we haven't caught a Sasquatch by now, then we won't. But also, there's this added component of, like, is it a primate, or is it just like a jungle man, or is it a person? Anyway, that excites me, and I think that the idea of get there, Andrew Luck with the touchdown. Oh, just like in real life, Andrew Luck, he scrambles when he wants to. I do what I want. So the Loch Ness monster is fascinating to me. It's Loch is an old Scottish word for lake. So Loch Ness means literally Ness Lake, or the Lake of Ness. And a lot of people are pretty familiar with Loch Ness monster. It's a sea creature, or I guess it wouldn't be a lake creature. And I almost feel like I don't ever want it to be found. Not because I want to, stick it to all the cryptozoologists who are trying to make something really amazing and fun and creative happen, and like they've spent their life's work trying to find this thing. But just because, what if someday, what if tomorrow you wake up and they're like, we found the Loch Ness monster, and it was just like a really deformed 800-year-old whale? I think that would take something away from the story. You could still make meaning of the Loch Ness monster in a way that allowed you to enjoy the story and to enjoy being a part of that narrative. I did not mean to do that onside kick. Darn. I tried to say dang and darn at the same time. I think it would take something away from that. And I think that the mystery and the possibility of the unknown, C.S. Lewis calls this kind of idea the numinous, sort of this unknown, and we're afraid of it, but not in the way that we're afraid of like a monster or a tiger or something. He uses this example of the numinous when he says, okay, imagine that you're in a room, and on the other side of the room there is a Burmese tiger. You are going to be scared. I think you are. Unless you're a Burmese tiger trainer or something. Dude, gotta tackle him. You're going to be scared of the tiger because he could eat you, he could beat you up. There's a fear of that. But then he says, imagine, okay, instead that you're in a room and then someone tells you, okay, there's a ghost in the room. There's an actual ghost. Like, it's been confirmed, there's a ghost in here. You would, the English language we use the word afraid or fear. But that's a different kind of fear than the fear of a tiger. The fear of being mauled by a tiger is significantly different than the fear of a ghost. And I think that's why, a movie, what's that one? There's some movie about guys who go hunt tigers in Africa. That movie is really different than Paranormal Activity. There's something, and again, Lewis calls this the numinous. There's something about ghosts that makes us afraid, but in a different way than a known quantity, like a tiger or even something mythical like Godzilla. There's this new Godzilla movie coming out. And I think it looks really exciting and fun, but I don't think you're not afraid of Godzilla in the way that you're afraid of a ghost, because you still kind of know what it is. Maybe some scientist was saying, oh, there was, I think there's a sea creature out there, and you don't know what it is. But then when you see it come out of the ocean, you're like, oh, there's the sea creature we were talking about. And it's frightening, but it's scary in a different way than is... How did I not block that? Scary in a different way that it would be if it was sort of unknown. So I think that's why cryptozoology is really important, even though it's sort of like funny and goofy and weird. It kind of helps us to relate to this idea of the numinous. And I think that is part of what separates us as creatures. We are humans, we are human creatures, but we also have this capacity to understand things that aren't purely empirical. And I'm not an empiricist. Straight out of bounds. I believe that there are things that cannot be quantified by science or by numbers, or there's this sort of gray area where the realm that we have typically put magic and ghosts and God and these sorts of things that can't really, miracles, these things that can't be explained by scientific phenomenon and the whole scientific process of I'm going to make a hypothesis and then test these things. And I think that's what cryptozoology does for us. It's almost like bridging a gap and creating a literacy for us to be able to talk about that. Nice punt by Chris Cluey. I want to know more about Sasquatch. I want to know more about Loch Ness Monster, but I want to know more about it, not from the standpoint of like, what's the history? Who saw it on this date? But why are we so fascinated by it? That's a really interesting sociological experiment. What is it? Nice play. What is it about a thing that we don't get, we don't understand, that causes us fascination and that causes us to be just consumed by it? SETI is the same way. You think about these people who devote their lives to going out in the desert and to hanging out with satellites and listening for signs of extraterrestrials. It's kind of, I almost said it's kind of crazy. It's really not, but that's sort of the popular image, is that there are these wacky people and they don't know how to relate to other human beings, and they've never been on a date, and they go and they sit in the desert and they listen to, beeps from the universe. But really, that's just kind of that's the way that we are fascinated about anything, really. There's an unknown quantity that we try to... It's like algebra. You have a known quantity, you have an unknown quantity, and then you have an answer. And I think our answer is that we're here. So sort of in the algebra equation of life, the known quantity is, the things that we can measure empirically. The things that we can see, physics and geometry and all of these sorts of things. That's the known quantity. The unknown quantity, the variable, are these things that we don't know how to describe, that fall into the realm of Lewis's Numinous, the Sasquatches and the miracles and angels and demons and magic and those sorts of things. There's not... Dude! He got stuck back there for like 5 seconds. And then the equation is, or the quantity that comes after the equal sign is, here we are on this earth, and we're living, and we're kind of aware of it. And I think it's interesting that not just cryptozoology or searching for extraterrestrials with SETI or studying the occult, but philosophy and theology and even to some extent sociology and politics are all a part of this process to attempt to understand how does this equation work? How do we find out this variable? And it's unfortunate to say that the variables of our lives, of the equation of life, is significantly more complicated than that involved in a simple algebra equation. Perhaps I could use calculus if I had ever taught calculus, but I haven't, and I never took it, and I don't understand it. I taught algebra for a while, and I feel like I have a decent grasp of it. And it's a fallen metaphor, but really, that's what it is we do. And that's why I think liberal arts are important. I think philosophy is important. Again, I did not mean to make that an onside kick. Yeah, because they sort of facilitate this process of figuring out, like, what is it? So, in conclusion, good for those guys, like maybe finding out some information about the Loch Ness Monster, because I think that's important, and thinking about who we are as people and why are we here and what are the things that we can find out, and wonder and awe and all these important things. But to be fair to you guys, I hope you don't find it. So that's ToryTalks. Got a big week 1 win. Colts over the Raiders. I'll see you guys later.